They don't destroy you with force. They do it with access, not by attacking, but by expecting. You give, explain, accommodate, until there's nothing left of you but obedience. Machiavelli didn't fear enemies, he feared predictability. And when you combine his cunning with Stoic restraint, you unlock a rare kind of power. Silence, not passive silence, but cold, calculated withdrawal. The kind that confuses manipulators, unnerves users, and makes your absence louder than your words. In this video, you'll learn why constant availability leads to contempt, how silence exposes control tactics, and what it takes to go from servant to sovereign. No more chasing respect. From now on, you command it by becoming a man they can't read, can't reach, and can't control. Like, subscribe, and let's make sure nothing and nobody ever hurts you again.
Number 1.
Predictability and availability lead to contempt. People don't start by disrespecting you. They start by getting used to you. And when you're always available, always saying yes, always replying instantly, always explaining, they don't see your presence as a gift. They see it as default. That's when the shift begins. You go from being valued to being used, from being a person to being a service, from being respected to being managed. Machiavelli warned, men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. And what is the appearance of a man who is always there? He looks easy to reach, easy to use, easy to overlook. His constant presence becomes his weakness. His politeness becomes his leash. Now here's where Stoicism cuts deeper. Seneca, in one of his most confronting letters, wrote, "You must gather from every side the means of guarding yourself. Not just guarding your body, but guarding your mind, your time, your energy. Because the man who is always available is not just disrespected by others. He eventually disrespects himself. He loses clarity. He forgets what he wants. He becomes a man shaped by interruption. And interruption is the enemy of wisdom. Let's be blunt. If people can predict your reaction, they can plan around it. If they know you'll respond immediately, they can manipulate the timing. If they know you'll explain yourself, they can weaponize your guilt. You're not sovereign anymore. You're programmable. Machiavelli wouldn't call that kindness. He'd call it a vulnerability. In Stoicism, it would call it a failure of discipline. Take the example of Friedrich Nietzsche. He wasn't known for being soft-spoken, but he was known for his silence. When his critics attacked him, he rarely responded. When former allies tried to provoke a reaction, he gave them none. Why? Because he understood something modern men forget. When you explain yourself to those who already misunderstand you, you hand them control. Silence, on the other hand, keeps you unreadable, and unreadable men are ungovernable. Here's what happens when you're too available. People stop asking if they should call you. They just do. They stop asking if you want to help. They assume you will. Eventually, they don't even say thank you because your effort becomes invisible. And the sad truth is, we live in a world that only sees boundaries when you enforce them. No one respects a door that never closes. Even Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with the weight of a crumbling empire on his shoulders, understood the need for inner withdrawal. He said, "People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You always wish you could too, but you can get away from it anytime you like by going within." Notice what he's saying. Escape is not about distance, it's about disconnection from demand. And unless you learn to disconnect strategically, you will forever be ruled by noise. Let's go deeper. Predictability isn't just boring, it's dangerous. Because manipulators, narcissists, and users thrive on patterns. If they know what hurts you, they can use it. If they know when you'll reply, they can bait you. If they know how to make you feel guilty, they can trap you in loops of emotional labor. This is how you become enslaved without chains, not by force, but by routine. Here's something you won't hear in most self-help books. Being overly accessible is not compassion. It's often a disguised form of control. You want to be seen as good, helpful, kind, so you show up. But underneath that is a hidden fear that if you stop, you'll be abandoned. That if you say no, you'll be rejected. That if you walk away, you'll be forgotten. And so your kindness becomes compliance, not strength. Submission. This is why Stoic philosophy is not just for calm thinking. It's for power, because it teaches you to act based on principle, not impulse. You show up when it matters, you speak when it counts, and you withdraw when your peace is at stake. In doing so, you don't become cold, you become precise. A man whose silence carries more weight than another man's argument. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you said no without explaining? When was the last time you left a message unanswered and felt at peace with it? When was the last time your presence was missed rather than taken for granted? That's the standard now. Not because you're better than others, but because your time, your energy, your focus, they are your kingdom. And if you don't guard them, no one else will. You must become a man who understands. Being liked is nothing compared to being respected. And respect is never given to the man who is always explaining, apologizing, and adjusting. Respect is given to the man who has limits and keeps them. Even in the realm of business and creativity, this truth plays out. Steve Jobs was notorious for being unpredictable with his presence. He didn't attend every meeting. He didn't respond to every inquiry. But when he did show up, people listened because his presence meant something. He wasn't avoiding responsibility. He was creating mystique. And that mystique gave his words more weight than 1,000 emails ever could. So here is the final truth of this section. If you are always there, no one will notice when you're gone. But if you learn to withdraw, to pause, to retreat with intention, your absence becomes a statement, a signal that your presence is valuable, and a reminder that access to you is a privilege, not a right. Let them feel your absence. Let them wonder why you've gone quiet. Let them learn through your silence that your energy is no longer free, it is earned. Because the man who is always available is forgettable, but the man who steps back becomes unforgettable.
Number 2.
Strategic withdrawal and calculated silence. You don't need to raise your voice to reclaim your power, you need to remove it, because sometimes the most dominant move is to say nothing at all. We live in a world obsessed with visibility. We're told to show up, to speak our truth, to make ourselves known. But here's the paradox. The more they see you, the less they feel you. Constant exposure dilutes your impact. It's not your words that lose meaning, it's your presence. And if you want people to start treating you differently, you must first become less available, less readable, less explainable. That's where strategic withdrawal begins. Not as an escape, but as a disruption. Machiavelli understood this better than most. He once wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if one must choose." But fear in his sense wasn't cruelty. It was unpredictability. When people cannot read you, they cannot control you. When they cannot access you, they cannot depend on you as a crutch. And when they cannot predict your reactions, they begin to second-guess themselves. That's when power shifts. Similarly, the Stoics didn't view silence as surrender. They saw it as sovereignty. Epictetus taught, keep silence for the most part and speak only when you must. In that simple line, he offered a blueprint for power. Reserve your words, let your silence speak first, because silence is not the absence of communication. It's the presence of restraint. Let's be precise. Withdrawal is not ghosting. It's not passive aggression. It's not pouting in private. Strategic withdrawal is intentional. It's when you remove yourself from situations that drain you, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to walk away. It's when you refuse to argue, not because you've lost, but because you refuse to be baited. It's when you go quiet, not to punish, but to recenter. One of the most powerful examples of this was Leonardo da Vinci. Though known for his genius, Leonardo often disappeared from public life for months, even years. Patrons would beg for updates, students would wait in silence, but he wouldn't rush, because he understood that absence creates anticipation, and anticipation creates value. When he returned, with new insights, inventions, or paintings, people paid attention. Why? Because he wasn't always talking. He was building, reflecting, becoming. Now contrast that with the modern man who posts every thought, answers every call, explains every emotion. He isn't respected. He's consumed. Because when you're always talking, people stop listening. And when you're always available, they stop caring. So how do you apply this? Start with silence, not just externally, but internally. When someone tries to provoke you, pause. Let their words hang in the air. Most people talk to trap you into reaction. But when you say nothing, they're forced to sit in the discomfort of their own chaos. Silence breaks patterns. It exposes neediness. It reveals insecurity. Not yours, but theirs. Then pull back your presence. Don't always answer right away. Don't be the first to fill the silence. Don't volunteer explanations no one asked for. This isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming gravity. If you want your energy to be respected, you must stop giving it away by default. Think about it. When was the last time you sat with someone who didn't rush to speak, didn't over-explain, didn't fill the space with noise? That kind of presence commands attention because it's rare. And in a world addicted to noise, rarity becomes power. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus once said, "We must not only think about what we should say, but also about how and when, timing, delivery, silence, it all matters. When you speak less, your words are heard more. When you withdraw, your presence is felt more deeply." That's not manipulation, it's clarity. Now let's talk about what happens when you start doing this. At first, people won't understand. Those who relied on your constant attention will feel disturbed. They'll say you've changed, that you've become distant. But remember this, people who lose access to your energy will always mislabel your growth. It's not your job to correct them. It's your job to stay rooted in your intention. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because silence is not just a strategy, it's also a test of your emotional independence. Can you sit in the unease of not being validated? Can you stay centered when others panic over your silence? Can you remain grounded even as people try to pull you back into their storms? If you can, you've crossed the threshold. You're no longer a man reacting to the world. You're a man shaping it through restraint. Even Albert Einstein used silence as a weapon of clarity. When bombarded with questions or criticism, he often paused for long stretches before answering. If he responded at all, his stillness wasn't confusion, it was calculation, because he understood that fast reactions often serve others' agendas, not truth. And truth, like respect, isn't rushed. So don't fear the silence, don't rush to fill it, don't apologize for it, use it. Use it to recenter your thoughts before you act. Use it to let others reveal who they are when you no longer perform for them. Use it to make your presence more valuable by making it less accessible. Here's the ultimate truth. Your silence teaches people how to treat you. If your words are always ready, they'll be ignored. If your presence is always guaranteed, it'll be exploited. But if your energy is intentional, reserved, and rare, then even your silence becomes a source of respect. And that's the essence of strategic withdrawal. It's not about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. It's not about isolating. It's about elevating. Elevating your presence from something people consume to something people consider. And once you make that shift, you stop reacting to the world and start commanding it. Because the man who learns to speak less, respond slower, and appear selectively becomes the man no one can manipulate. He becomes the man whose absence speaks louder than another man's speech.
Number 3.
From servant to sovereign, the shift begins quietly. It starts not with an explosion, but with a pause, a hesitation, a moment when you hear a familiar request. Can you help me real quick? And instead of immediately saying yes, you feel something stir inside you, a boundary forming, a whisper of resistance. That's where the transformation starts, in the subtle rebellion against your own reflex to please. Most men never cross this threshold. They live their lives as emotional servants, helpful, agreeable, responsive to every signal. At first it feels noble. You're dependable, reliable, kind. But over time, that kindness becomes currency for others to spend. And eventually you find yourself drained, bitter, and unrecognizable. Not because they betrayed you, but because you abandoned yourself for too long. The Stoics understood this self-abandonment. Seneca once wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. You fear setting boundaries, like they'll end your relationships. You avoid solitude like it's a death sentence. But you chase validation like you'll live forever. And in doing so, you delay your own sovereignty." Now let's clarify what sovereignty truly means. It doesn't mean being dominant over others. It means being independent of them. It's when your sense of self is no longer shaped by approval, access, or applause. It's when you own your time, your silence, your presence, and give it intentionally, not compulsively. This transition from servant to sovereign is not a gentle one. It's a psychological detox, a shedding, and like any detox, it hurts. The people who once fed on your compliance will start to react. They'll call you selfish, cold, distant. They'll say, "You've changed." And they're right. You have. But it's not an insult. It's proof. Proof that they're no longer able to control you the way they used to. This is where you must hold the line. Because when you start protecting your peace, the first thing you lose is the approval of those who benefited from your chaos. Let's take a real example. Frida Kahlo, the renowned painter, wasn't just known for her art. She was known for her brutal honesty, her refusal to perform, her detachment from people-pleasing. Her life was filled with physical pain and emotional betrayal, but she refused to let it make her obedient. She didn't shrink for the comfort of others. Her boundaries were sharp, her silence loud, and that's why her presence still echoes decades later. She didn't serve. She ruled her reality, even in the midst of suffering. Now pause and ask yourself, when was the last time you said no and let it stand? When was the last time you allowed someone to be disappointed in you without rushing to fix it? That is the test of sovereignty. Not control over others, but mastery over your own guilt. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That's not just about ethics, that's about alignment. When you stop living out of obligation and start living out of truth, you start walking a different path, a slower, quieter, but infinitely more powerful path. One where you are no longer addicted to being needed, one where you are finally enough for yourself. The challenge, of course, is the inner resistance. You'll feel it. That old urge to respond instantly. That anxiety when someone's upset with you. That inner voice whispering, "You're being mean." But that voice isn't your conscience. That's your conditioning. It's the ghost of the obedient man you used to be. The one who needed to be liked, needed to be needed. Let him die. And yes, it will feel like death, because part of you is dying, but it's the part that kept you small, the part that said yes when you meant no, the part that let others define your worth. That version of you must go, and in its place, Something stronger is born. Not louder, but deeper. Not colder, but clearer. This is where silence becomes sacred. When you stop explaining your boundaries, you stop inviting debate. When you stop justifying your decisions, you stop giving people permission to question your sovereignty. And when you stop trying to be liked, you start becoming respected. Not by everyone, but by the right ones. Even in the world of business, this shift is powerful. Take Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. He built one of the most customer-obsessed companies in the world. But he wasn't obsessed with being liked. He made brutal decisions. He pulled away from distractions. He let people criticize him without response. And because he didn't need approval, he built something enduring. Sovereignty isn't about silence alone. It's about deciding where your energy goes and defending that decision without apology. As you evolve, your standards change. You no longer chase shallow connections. You no longer tolerate manipulation masked as kindness. You no longer attend conversations where your peace is not welcome. You become selective, not out of arrogance, but out of reverence for your own clarity. Here's the paradox. The less you try to prove yourself, the more powerful you become. Because power is not an explanation, it's an embodiment. And the sovereign man doesn't talk about his standards. He lives them, quietly, consistently, even when no one's watching. The Stoics didn't teach withdrawal for the sake of isolation. They taught it for purification, to remove the noise, the neediness, the confusion, so that what remains is you, undistorted, a man who no longer flinches at silence, a man who no longer explains his peace, a man who no longer trades his dignity for acceptance. And once you become that man, something miraculous happens. People begin to change how they treat you, not because you demanded it, but because your energy now carries weight. Your absence now has presence. Your silence now has power. That is the full arc, from servant to sovereign, from reaction to intention, from being used to being respected. And it begins with one painful, liberating realization. You don't owe anyone your energy. You never did.
Number 4.
Self-command and sovereignty. There comes a moment when silence is no longer just a strategy. It becomes your nature. You don't have to calculate every response. You don't have to plan your withdrawal. You've already become the man who doesn't need to explain, react, or prove anything. That's the final stage. The man who commands himself. The man whose silence isn't a reaction. It's a way of being. This is what it means to arrive at sovereignty. To many, that word sounds abstract, but sovereignty is deeply personal. It's the quiet authority that arises when your mood is no longer dictated by others, when your actions are no longer shaped by approval, when your peace cannot be stolen by chaos. It's not about ruling over people. It's about no longer being ruled by their perception. Stoic philosophy centers itself around this exact ideal. Marcus Aurelius, in the solitude of his thoughts, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that is where sovereignty begins, not in outward success, but in inward self-command. But let's be clear, this kind of strength is not loud. It's not the man who dominates a room with words. It's the man who doesn't need to. He isn't silent to intimidate. He's silent because his presence is already enough. He doesn't chase respect. He emanates it. He doesn't react. He observes, and when he speaks, the room changes. Not because of what he says, but because of who he is. Now, to reach this place, you have to go through fire, internal fire, the kind that burns off the need to be liked, the kind that forces you to sit in discomfort while the world tries to pull you back into noise. But eventually, the fire becomes light. It becomes clarity, and with clarity comes power. The power to walk away, the power to be misunderstood, the power to withhold your energy without guilt. Think of James Baldwin. He didn't speak to fit in. He didn't write to gain applause. He spoke when it mattered. He withdrew when it didn't. He said, you have to go the way your blood beats. If you don't live the only life you have, you won't live some other life. You won't live any life at all. That is sovereignty, living according to your own rhythm, without explanation, without apology. And here's the twist. The more sovereign you become, the less you need from others. You no longer need reassurance, flattery, attention. You appreciate connection, but you're not desperate for it. You enjoy companionship, but you don't beg for belonging. That's when the power dynamic reverses. People come to you, not because you chase them, but because you don't. They feel the weight of your restraint, the calm in your detachment, and they crave it. This doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you clear. You stop engaging in battles that drain you. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop rushing to correct how others perceive you. You understand what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. That's self-command, no more debates, no more performance, just silent alignment with your truth. In the realm of creativity and leadership, this principle is essential. Look at Rick Rubin, the legendary music producer. He doesn't need to impose. He doesn't yell, chase, or overwork. He creates environments of silence, space, and trust. And that's where the most iconic records are born. Because power isn't in noise. It's in knowing when to be still. In the same way, your presence becomes most valuable when it's intentional. Not frequent, not performative, just true. You stop being everywhere. You stop responding to everything, and by doing less, you start commanding more. Not in quantity, but in depth. But there's one more layer. Sovereignty also means owning your time. Not just scheduling it, but defending it. A sovereign man doesn't explain why he's unavailable. He simply is. He doesn't justify why he needs rest. He takes it. He doesn't ask for permission to be at peace. He chooses it. And when you live like that, people notice. They begin to treat you differently, not because you demanded it, but because you showed them what it means to have standards, and those who don't respect your peace. They remove themselves. No argument needed. Your presence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. Eventually, even your absence becomes instructive. When you're no longer there to fix, explain, or perform, people are left with a mirror. They see what they took for granted. They feel the vacuum you used to fill. And those who truly value you, they rise to meet you at your level, or they leave. Either way, you win. Because you're no longer in emotional debt. This is the difference between a man who needs to be seen and a man who chooses how he's seen, between a man who reacts and a man who calculates, between a man who seeks peace and a man who is peace. So here is the lesson. You are not here to be universally understood. You are here to be internally aligned. Your silence may confuse them. Your restraint may offend them. Your distance may disturb them. But none of that matters if you're clear within yourself. As Epictetus put it, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because sovereignty requires stillness, and stillness looks strange to the restless. But to the grounded, to those who've done the work, stillness is strength, silence is mastery, detachment is power, and self-command is the highest form of leadership. That is the goal, not to be liked, not to be loud, but to be untouchable. Not because you're distant, but because you're clear. Not because you're hard, but because you're whole. Because when a man becomes sovereign, nothing can be taken from him, and no one, not even the ones who used to pull his strings, can ever hurt him again. You don't need louder words. You need deeper silence. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You need to reclaim yourself from everyone. The journey from servant to sovereign is not marked by applause or approval, but by solitude, clarity, and discipline. When you become a man of silence, of presence, of boundaries, you stop being moved by chaos. You start moving through the world with calm precision, and the people who once tried to control you, they lose their grip. Not because you fought them, but because you became unreachable. So let this be your reminder. Your time is a gate, your energy is a kingdom, and your presence is a privilege. Guard it. And if this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't just listen, live it. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to stop explaining themselves and start becoming untouchable. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more men like you.